Hi, and welcome to Terry Talks Movies. This time around, I've got the worst movie I saw this year, and I've got the best movie I saw this year so far. One of them is science fiction, and it ain't the good one. And the other one is a horror fantasy movie, which is, leaving aside genre and stripping all of that stuff away, is the best movie I've seen so far this year. So we're going to start with the bad one, because you've got to work up. It's an indicator movie I picked up from Powerhouse. I got a deal on it, but there was like 4 for whatever pounds thing. And the other 3 I got a good, and I'm going to do them in a future video. But the fourth one is a 1981 Norman J. Warren joint called Inseminoid. And if you haven't seen Inseminoid, you are truly blessed, even though this version of it does justice to the movie. In fact, does more than justice to the movie, because check out the number of extras on that. There's a metric ton of extras there for a movie which is piss poor and ordinary. Now, I'm going to bring it up on Wikipedia so that I can talk about it on the simple basis that I tried not to remember too much about it at the time. In America, this movie was called Horror Planet, which is such a wonderfully, appallingly generic name. It stars Robin Clark and Jennifer Ashley, neither of whom have the charisma of a freckle, and some more famous names like Stephanie Beacham's in there, Stephen Greaves, who later went on to make movies here in Australia and actually lives on the Gold Coast now, Victoria Tennant, who leveled up a little bit later and married Steve Martin for a while, and Judy Geeson in there playing the focus character, a woman called Sandy. Given what this Sandy goes through, it's definitely not Olivia Newton-John in Grease. So this one's set in the future, obviously, and on a frozen planet, a team of 12 Xeno Project archaeologists and scientists are excavating the ruins of an alien civilization. They discover a cave system containing wall marking and crystals of unknown origin. The movie starts out with an explosion which injures a couple of the characters, and then they're going into emergency mode and wheeling hospital trolleys around the corridors in these caves. We don't know who any of the characters are in this. Totally woefully underwritten, and they give us something exciting at the start, which is an explosion, and some guy gets crystals embedded in him. When you don't know who these characters are, what they mean, or anything, the script is incredibly poorly written. It's nearly as poorly done as the acting. The acting in this is high school pantomime level. So one of the crystals takes care of this guy called Ricky, he goes berserk and does all sorts of nutty things. And all the people are wondering what's happening. There's no organization. The leaders of the group are totally disorganized and just run around madly, and the script doesn't help them at all. There's not a well-written line in this movie. And this is they kind of leave the second half of the film, the actual plot of the film, because that's the kind of film it is, haphazard. A monstrous alien, I'm going to read this off Wikipedia. A monstrous alien creature appears and dismembers Mitch, and then assaults Sandy with a transparent tubular something that looks like she's being assaulted with a very long lava lamp. She gets taken back to the base. Doesn't get put in isolation, anything like that. They just take her back to the base and start treating her medically. And they find out that this assault has triggered a pregnancy. So more things go wrong, things blow up, things collapse, all that kind of stuff. And Sandy gets more and more pregnant and ends up with superhuman strength and a murderous intent towards all the other people. She drinks their blood to feed the 2 creatures growing inside her, and the movie continues. I'm not even going to go through the rest of this film. It's just annoying. It gave me a headache right there. Let me use that finger deliberately. It was just annoying all the way through. And it's one of those movies where you could take it apart and make a halfway good movie out of it if you got rid of half of the actors, rewrote the scripts, refilmed it somewhere else. But there'd be no purpose to doing it, because basically what it is a rip-off of Alien with nudity in it and with assault of women in it. And I didn't like it at all. There's only one other movie I disliked more that I've seen this month, and I started watching The Entity, that Barbara Hershey movie about her being assaulted by a ghost, directed by Sidney J. Furie. Can't stand it. Ghosts aren't real, and they're trying to kid you that movie is based on a true story. It ain't. It's just bullshit and mental illness. This movie is just horrible. It was produced by Run Run Shaw, one of the Shaw brothers from Hong Kong movie history. He gave £1 million to Norman J. Warren to make this film with, and they didn't make the money back ever. They filmed a lot of it in an interesting place in Kent called the Chislehurst Cave, which were caves that were used as air raid shelters during World War II. There was basically a whole underground city built into this cave system in Kent. And there's still a lot of infrastructure there, so it was very useful to make this underground alien base out of. The only good thing about this film was the location scouts. I hated this movie. I don't know what I'm going to do with this movie. I don't want to keep it. It's not fun. It's not entertaining. It's not even bad enough to be good. It is truly atrocious. And I may well, in spite of the fact it cost me something equivalent about $12 Australian, I may well donate it to a charity store and hope that nobody who's nice buys it. Disliked that one with a passion. I don't know why. I saw it on my birthday. And by the way, my birthday was yesterday, 17th of April. Tons of love from people online. And not only that, but this happened as well. On my very birthday at about 7 o'clock in the morning, the birthday fairy gave me 15,000 subscribers for the channel. It clicked over into 15,000. It's now somewhat more than that, like a busload more than that. Thank you to everybody who subscribed to the channel. It's been a long journey to get to 15,000, but it's been a worthwhile one, and we're building a community here and having fun with it. And that almost made up for watching Inseminoid, but not quite. So today I went to see another movie, and today is Good Friday to some people. It's that long weekend we get when they crucify a chocolate rabbit or something like that, some Christian thing. So I took my little self down to the cinema. I couldn't use my Australian Film Critics Association card because I forgot I can't use them on public holidays. So I actually paid out to see Ryan Coogler's Sinners. And if you haven't seen Sinners, see it. I'm not going to do any more spoilers than there is in the trailer, but I'm going to recommend it for a number of different reasons. It is the best movie I've seen so far this year. Incredible film. So I get in the cinema. I've got the reclining seats because I paid an extra $2 or something to get a reclining seat. So I'm all locked down in my local cinema in a reclining seat. I'm feeling very sanguine and happy, and I've just had a birthday with the family and everything's gone up well with that. Fantastic. So I sit down, and you know how they play music before the curtains open and the lights go down? They play mostly movie-related music in the cinemas while everybody's sitting down and sorting through their popcorn. I sit down, and before Ryan Coogler's Sinners, they play Tara's theme from Gone with the Wind. A movie about slavery where the slaves aren't treated very well. Before a Ryan Coogler movie. And I posted it on social media because it was a WTF moment. It was a tone-deaf cognitive dissonance moment for me. Nonetheless, I sat down and watched it, and I enjoyed it a lot. Now, I'm kind of going to have to tightrope walk a bit about what I tell you about this film. It's set in 1932 Mississippi, and a young guy called Sammy Moore, played by Miles Caton, is a guitar player and a singer. He does Mississippi Delta blues. And his father doesn't want him to be a blues musician because his father is a preacher. In fact, they call Sammy Preacher Boy because his father's a preacher. And his cousins come back from Chicago. Identical twins called Smoke and Stack, played by Michael B. Jordan, who have got a lot of money that they may or may not have stolen from Al Capone in Chicago. And they've got a dream. They want to open a juke joint. So they buy an old mill off a KKK guy and tell him that if any of the KKK people turn up on their property, they will shoot them dead. These two guys have got history. They were in World War I. They were in the trenches. They then went to Chicago after the war, and for the last 10 years, they've been away from their small town in Mississippi. So they've come back. They're setting up the juke joint. They're reconnecting with people they knew before. Stack has a girlfriend called Mary, played by Haley Steinfeld, who, by the way, if people are worrying about that or people think that it's wrong to cast Haley Steinfeld as a woman who is of color but can pass for white, Haley Steinfeld does have African-American ancestry. So she reconnects with Stack, and Smoke and his wife, Annie, played by the wonderful Wunmi Masaku, get back together as well. And Annie's a juju lady. She has the magic. She casts spells. She gives potions. She knows about the hidden world behind the real world and about the history of it. And she becomes very useful later on. So they're setting up the juke joint for a big opening night. They get the help of a Chinese-American couple who run the local dry goods store, getting a whole bunch of other people, including a guy called Delta Slim, played by Delroy Lindo. The casting in this is amazing. And Delroy Lindo is really great as Delta Slim. A guy who's old enough to have probably been born a slave and who is an alcoholic but plays the blues really well. He plays harmonica, he plays piano. He is just fantastic, so they want him for this. Meanwhile, Sammy meets a woman called Pearline, played by Jamie Lawson, who tells him she's married but is still kind of interested. And he invites her to the opening night of the juke joint. And meanwhile, there's something else happening in the area. A man turns up on the door of a shack owned by one of the KKK people and asks for help. You know, he's been attacked by people. He said he's been attacked by Choctaw Indians. There are a group of Choctaw Indians who turn up at the place later on, hunting vampires. They know there's a vampire they're hunting, and it's this guy, a guy called Remick, played by Jack O'Connell, who is an ancient Irish vampire. Remick turns the people and then plans to go to the juke joint to create a cult for himself, because the vampirism in this movie is get bitten by a vampire, you become one of the group mind of the vampires. All of them know everything each other knows. They're all one organism. And that's a kind of an interesting conceit, because it takes away individuality and steals the talents and insights and minds of the people who get bitten. So the juke joint opens and all the people of colour in the community go there and have a good time. It's not going to cost them too much. They can get corn liquor, they can get expensive liquor, because the brothers have stolen a whole bunch of booze from Chicago and brought it down with them in their truck. And this is during Prohibition as well, so they smuggled it all the way from Chicago to Mississippi. They're very smart people. So the juke joint opens and Sammy plays and sings his songs and is incredibly popular with the crowd.
There are legends of people with the gift of making music so true. It can conjure spirits from the past and the future, but it also can pierce the veil between life and death.
And this movie has one of the great movie sequences I have ever seen in my life. I'm not kidding you. I watched this sequence of them playing and dancing and singing in the juke joint, which is done as a one-er, as like a no cuts. There are invisible cuts to it, but it's done as a one-er. And Ryan Coogler does things in that scene. My mouth literally was hanging open while I was watching that. And when I realized my mouth was hanging open, I just let it. I just enjoyed it and sucked in everything that was happening. I was awestruck in a way I hadn't been in any other film I've ever seen. It amazed me, it delighted me. The boldness of it, the magic of it, the audacity of what Ryan Coogler does with that sequence is something truly mind-boggling. I'm not going to spoil that for you because it'd be actively cruel to do that. But you got to see the film. If for nothing else, you got to see it for that. Then, of course, the vampires turn up at the juke joint. They can't come in unless they're invited. And they're very smart and very canny, because you've got to remember they're a group mind. There are minds working together there. It's not just one being. It's not just Remick. And Jack O'Connell is fantastic as Remick as well. And the battles continue. Now, that's just the basic bones of the movie. But there's so much else. There's some incredibly great Mississippi blues, Delta blues music in this. Buddy Guy plays an older version of Sammy in 1992 in a mid-credit sequence at the end. It's no secret to say that because people have talked about it already. And Buddy Guy, being one of the great blues guitarists who's still around, seeing him at the end playing Mississippi Delta blues was just mind-blowing. But this is about so many more things. It's about the true history of the South in America in the 1930s. One of the KKK guy who sells the brothers the mill tells them the Klan's not around anymore. And we know it is. There's a genuine peril to being an aspirational black man, or a pair of aspirational black men in 1930s Mississippi, and Mary, the girlfriend of Stack, because she can pass for white. It's dangerous for Stack or any other black man to be seen around her because somebody may misinterpret him and lynch them. And in fact, Delta Slim talks about a lynching he was nearly part of as the crew drive past the chain gang. And the sound design in that part is just amazing. There's a genuine sense of peril all the way through this film. And it's not just vampires as a cause of that. We see so much in this film. We see cotton picking sharecroppers. We see shotgun shacks and people just trying to live their best life knowing that the odds are stacked against them and that their lives are in constant jeopardy just because of who they are and how they look. And we get the kind of bold brashness and self-confidence of the two brothers going up against not only a very, very old evil, but an even older evil, which wears a hood. There's so many hero moments in this film. There's so much beauty in it. The landscapes in Mississippi are shot marvelously. Ryan Coogler knows what he's doing. So the characters we see are lifelike. We learn more about the characters, including the mining characters. It's incredibly well written, and we care about the people in this. Delta Slim being an old alcoholic blues guy, and Pearline and Annie, who, along with Smoke, lost a child before Smoke went away for 10 years. The child died, and one of the first things Smoke does when he comes back to town is put flowers on the grave of his child. And the history between Stack and Mary. And apart from that, it's a very sexual and sensual movie. The sexuality of black men and women is featured in this film in ways that are intrinsic to the characters. And even Sammy learns some things in this film that are quite interesting. It's unashamedly sexual in a positive way. It's a sex-positive movie. That sexuality and the sensuality is done really well. The ensemble works incredibly. Michael B. Jordan, playing two identical twin brothers, does a fantastic job. Haley Steinfeld does a fantastic job. Miles Caton, in I think one of his first films, if not his first film, is great as Sammy. He gives a gravitas to the character that speaks to the talent of this guy as an actor. Jack O'Connell's Remick is increasingly awe-inspiring and monstrous. His way of ensorceling the people he bites and turns is deeply creepy, and also talks about the appropriation of black culture by white people. There's a subtext of that in there as well. Jamie Lawson's got his Pearline. Wumi Masaku as Annie is just so bloody good. And we care about them. So as people get killed or turned, we as audience members give us stuff about them, not just people getting picked off and you tick a box. These are genuinely, the characters feel lived in. Delroy Lindo, why that guy wasn't the biggest star, I don't know. Fantastic actor. I loved him in everything I've ever seen him in. And Delta Slim in this gives him a hero moment that is incredible as well. You've got to see this film. When it comes out on 4K, I'm getting it on 4K. It's going to look fantastic. It looks terrific. It was filmed on film. And by the way, I'm getting shadows from the sunset there, so that's why things are looking a little bit funny here, but I'm going to run with it. Yeah, it looks fantastic. It was shot on film, on 70mm, I think, and it does look terrific. The action scenes are great, but the character scenes are better. And that one bravura moment as the juke joint really kicks out the jams is something amazing. I have never seen anything like it in cinema. It brought up some thoughts for me, but the thoughts it's brought up are a few things. One, there's no reason why an incredibly good film can't be a genre film. We tend to think of the best movies of all time being dramas or comedies, but there's no reason it can't be a supernatural vampire film set in the 1930s. There's no reason why we can't apply all the aspects of a really fine film to a genre film. And Ryan Coogler does this with Sinners. The other thing I thought about, a compare and contrast kind of thing, is this movie tells the truth about the early 20th century in America in exactly the opposite way that Disney does. If you go to any of the Disney parks, I've watched a lot of videos about the Disney parks, they all have this idealized, very vanilla and pale iteration of 20th century America and 20th century Americana. And it ain't the truth of it. You won't find sunset towns in Disney, but in a movie like this, you know there are sunset towns all around. If you don't know what a sunset town is, you should look it up. But it is the anti-Disney movie in some ways, and I respect that. I like the fact that men of colour and women of colour are allowed to have their own sexuality and their own passions and their own physicality in this movie. I'm sick of emasculated black men in movies like pretty much everything Denzel Washington ever played. That sexuality and that sensuality works in this film. And I think it's about bloody time it happened. So see Sinners as soon as you can. If you like vampire movies, you're going to like it. If you like good, solid dramas, and if you like Ryan Coogler movies, he's only done what? He did Free Fire Station, he did Creed, he did the 2 Black Panther movies, and then he's done this one. I think he's probably in the top 5 of my favorite active directors at the moment now. What he did with this film was incredible. When movies like this are coming out, and when movies like this are being produced, I'm a happy little cinephile. So that's what I got for you this time. Thanks a lot for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, do all the usual things. 15,000 subscribers is just the start of this gig. If you want to support the channel, you can donate at patreon.com/cherrytalksmovies, become a channel member on YouTube, or donate through YouTube. Next up, we've got the Monday video, and I've got some ideas for that are going to be very cool and very different from this video. So until then, and until the next 15,000 subscribers, watch some good movies, watch some bad movies. Go and see Sinners. You're going to thank me later. And I'll catch you next time.